Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into a topic that is, I think, one of the most fundamental business functions, but also one of the most, well, persistently flawed. We're talking about hiring and onboarding. For so long, recruitment was just seen as an HR checklist, an administrative chore you had to get through.
Just a cost center.
Exactly.
Right.
But the sources we've gathered, they all confirm that a flawed hiring system isn't just a bit inefficient. It's a huge drag on your competitiveness, on your long-term performance. We're talking serious financial risk and a damaged reputation.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to really flip that perspective. We're going to unpack the empirical evidence to find the systematic, repeatable strategies that turn recruiting into a real strategic capability. We'll look at the whole life cycle, everything from the infrastructure all the way to what happens after the hire. Okay, let's unpack this.
And that shift you mentioned, from checklist to strategy, it's really the only way forward. I mean, in consulting, we see it constantly. The difference between companies that thrive and those that just sort of survive. It often comes down to moving from intuition to evidence in hiring. If you're just relying on gut feelings, you create what we call cascading consequences. Vacancies that stay open forever, bad cultural fits, and you damage your brand so badly that, frankly, the best people just stop applying.
Let's put a number on that because this is the stat that should really drive the change. Let's talk about the immediate financial costs that you as a leader should be thinking about. I mean, when a hire doesn't work out, we think about, okay, separation costs, maybe some agency fees.
Right, the obvious stuff.
But the real killer is the opportunity cost.
Right.
The work that isn't getting done while that seat is empty, the sources are definitive. Conservative estimates say replacing an employee costs anywhere from 50 to 200% of their annual salary.
200%. Think about that.
Depends on the role's complexity, of course, but still.
It's staggering. When you make a hiring mistake, you're not just losing money, you are actively investing, sometimes more than a full year's salary, in going the wrong direction. And this is exactly why the mindset has to shift. You have to stop seeing recruitment as a cost center to be minimized.
And start seeing it as a strategic investment that needs to be optimized.
Exactly.
So if it's that expensive, what's the biggest mistake leaders make when they try to reduce that cost?
Oh, that's an easy one. They focus on the wrong metrics. They look exclusively at things like time to fill or cost per hire. They try to do it faster and cheaper instead of better. When we talk about strategic recruitment capability, we mean building a system to identify, attract, and evaluate people whose skills align not just with today's job description, but with where the company is going in the future. It's about future-proofing your talent. And this capability, it really rests on three pillars. First, you need dedicated resources, the people, the tech. Second, clear structures so everyone knows their role. And third, and this is the big one, measurable accountability for outcomes.
And accountability is where it usually falls apart, like you said. Everyone tracks time and cost, but that's, what, half the story?
It's not even half. The focus needs to shift, and pretty dramatically, towards sophisticated quality indicators. Now, these are harder to track, I'll admit, but they are vital. We're talking about things like new higher performance ratings after 6 months, retention rates over 1 or 2 years, and even formal cultural fit assessments. If you only optimize for speed, you will inevitably, consistently hire quickly, but poorly.
Okay, so if accountability needs better metrics, that means you need the machinery to track them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about infrastructure. What specific investments does the research point to as being the best predictors of, superior hiring outcomes?
The evidence is pretty clear on this. You need dedicated resources. That means specialized recruitment teams, not a generalist HR person juggling 100 other tasks.
Right.
You need a modern applicant tracking system, an ATS. That's the software backbone for the whole process. And you absolutely need validated assessment tools and some budget for employer branding.
We found a great example of this, Marriott International. They set up a dedicated talent acquisition center of excellence, a whole unit just for this. And that structure gave them consistency across their entire global operation.
And the results speak for themselves.
They do. They reduced their time to fill by 40%. 40, that's huge. But is that just for a giant company? I mean, how can a mid-sized company replicate that?
It's not about scale, it's about the principle of specialization. For a mid-sized company, it just means having 1 or 2 people whose only job is talent acquisition and giving them the right tech and budget. Marriott's example just proves that when you specialize, you get consistency and you get huge efficiency gains. The size of the company doesn't matter. And this ties directly into the power of perception, which is employer branding. Because it's fascinating. You can have the best internal process in the world, but if your reputation is bad, top talent just scrolls right past you. The brand dictates the quality of your applicant pool before you've even posted the job.
So a strong employer brand isn't just marketing fluff, it's a real measurable advantage.
Absolutely. It translates directly into lower hiring costs, faster time to fill, because great candidates respond quickly, and much better offer acceptance rates. You become a place people want to work, not just a place they apply to.
So how do you build that brand? It's got to be more than just a slick careers page.
Oh, way more.
Mhm.
The research shows it has to be authentic. And that means authentic storytelling. Real employee stories, not stock photos. It means having a clear, differentiated value proposition, what makes you different. And critically, it means using employee advocacy programs, getting your current team to share their real experiences.
Like the Patagonia example.
The Patagonia example is perfect. They align their recruitment message so tightly with their actual values, environmentalism, work-life integration, that it creates this self-selection process. The people who apply already feel like they belong, which is a powerful filter.
Let's shift to the candidate experience itself, because this is where so many companies just shoot themselves in the foot. They damage relationships with great people, even the ones they want to hire. We've all been through it. You're staring at an application system that feels like it was coded in 1998. The research on what frustrates candidates is just overwhelming. Its complexity, its time, and especially its redundant data entry.
It's just disrespectful of their time.
It is. And the best candidates, the ones with options, they just opt out. They close the tab and move on.
And that damage is immediate. It's not just one lost applicant. That person tells their network, maybe posts on Glassdoor, and it actively erodes that brand equity you were just trying to build.
So what does a good evidence-based application process look like?
It's all about simplicity and respect. Number one, mobile optimization is not negotiable. People apply on their phones. It has to work flawlessly.
Of course.
Second, progressive information gathering. Only ask for the absolute essentials up front. You can get more details later. And third, good resume parsing, so the system pulls the data automatically and they aren't typing in their entire work history from scratch.
And the Hilton case study on this is just staggering. They redesigned their process, took it from a 20-minute ordeal down to under 5 minutes. The result, a 60% increase in completed applications.
60%. It's a massive return on just making things user-friendly.
So once you've got them in the door, then comes the real challenge. Evaluation. And this is where we have to move beyond the resume. You said resume-centric approaches have poor predictive validity.
That's right. Poor predictive validity.
Meaning the resume is actually a bad tool for predicting who will be good at the job.
Precisely. It's highly susceptible to all kinds of bias, and it often just measures someone's past opportunities, not their future potential. A truly comprehensive evaluation has to use multiple data sources to get a much richer, more accurate picture of that potential.
Okay, so give us the components. What does that framework look like?
First, and I think this is the most critical part, is structured behavioral interviews. That means you ask every single candidate the same predefined questions, and you score their answers using a standardized rubric. The research is undeniable here. Structured interviews are exponentially better at predicting performance than a casual, unstructured chat.
So no more tell me about yourself.
No. It has to be consistent. Beyond that, you use work simulations, small tasks that are representative of the actual job. You can also layer in validated cognitive and personality assessments. And finally, and this is key, use diverse interview panels to help cancel out individual biases.
We saw Deloitte did this. They brought in strength-based assessments and simulations that really mirrored consulting work.
And it worked wonders. They improved their diversity outcomes and at the same time significantly improved the predictive validity of their hiring. They were just making better bets on people, plain and simple.
Let's jump to the two steps that are so often just afterthoughts. Candidate feedback and onboarding. First, feedback, or more often the lack of it, that generic rejection email or just silence. Why is that so damaging?
Because it's a huge missed opportunity. The research shows that candidates who get specific, constructive feedback, even if they're rejected, maintain a positive view of the company. They're more likely to reapply.
And to tell others it was a good experience.
Exactly. When you ghost a finalist after they've spent hours interviewing with you, you're sending a very clear message that you see people as disposable.
So good feedback means timely communication, specific developmental advice, not just we went with another candidate, but how do you do that at scale?
Unilever had a great model for this. They implemented a policy for finalists. The hiring manager would make a short 10-minute phone call, just a personalized conversation explaining the decision and offering some real feedback. The impact on candidate satisfaction and reapplication rates was measurable, and immediate. It cemented their reputation as a class act.
Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for me. The investment in a new hire isn't secure until they're fully integrated.
No.
Onboarding. Why is this so often the weakest link?
Because organizations treat it like an administrative task. It's just paperwork and a security badge. But the research is, frankly, it's sobering. Nearly 1/3 of new hires start questioning their decision to join a company within the first 6 months.
Wow, a third.
And poor onboarding is almost always the reason. Think about it. You've just spent maybe 100% of their salary to hire them, and then you completely neglect their integration. It's just organizational negligence.
So what does a strategic, comprehensive onboarding look like?
It starts before day one. Pre-arrival preparation, get their laptop, their logins, their initial meetings set up. You want to reduce that first day anxiety.
Right.
Then you need social integration, a mentor or a buddy program. You need role-specific training, not just a generic company history lesson. And, crucially, a structured plan for check-ins at 30, 60, and 90 days. And here's a critical finding. Programs that emphasize a new hire's strengths and let them bring their authentic self to work. They generate way higher engagement and retention than old-school assimilation programs that just demand conformity. Help them succeed as themselves.
And PwC's results on this were incredible. They built a digital onboarding platform with customized 90-day roadmaps. They reduced the time it took for a new hire to become productive by 30%. And they improved 6-month retention by 25%. That is how you secure the investment.
That's the ROI right there.
So to wrap this up, sustaining this kind of excellence means you can't just set it and forget it. What does continuous improvement look like?
It's about data. You need comprehensive metrics tracking, not just efficiency, but those quality indicators we talked about, performance and retention. You need regular feedback from hiring managers and new hires, and you need to do systematic process audits to find the bottlenecks. And underpinning all of it has to be a real commitment to inclusive hiring practices. The data is clear. Diverse teams outperform homogeneous ones. But you don't get diversity by accident. You have to intentionally design your process to eliminate barriers and bias.
So give our listeners 1 or 2 things they should check for in their own companies.
Okay? Start with your job descriptions. Are they full of biased language? Then look at your evaluation. Is it structured? Are you using blind resume screening where you remove names and schools at the first pass? The goal is to make the process as objective and reliable as possible so individual gut feelings can't hijack the decision.
So if we pull all this evidence together, what's the final word for an organization trying to transform its hiring?
It means excellence requires moving beyond gut feel. It requires moving towards systematic science-backed approaches that cover the entire employee journey. The competitive advantages are just profound. You get stronger talent, faster, you make better decisions, and you actually integrate those hires so they stay and thrive. You lock in your advantage.
So we've hit the 5 pillars. Building the right infrastructure, creating an authentic employer brand, using holistic evaluation, giving real feedback, and executing strategic onboarding. And here's a final thought for you to take away from this deep dive. The sources all emphasize measuring success with things like new hire performance and retention. So ask yourself this. If your organization relies mainly on cost per hire as its primary success metric, are you truly optimized for talent quality, or are you just optimized for administrative efficiency? Because that gap could determine your entire future.
At the end of the day, your people are the only sustainable advantage you have. Getting the right ones is just too important to leave to chance.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you next time.